Hey y'all, it's my review for the Real World Homecoming New Orleans, episode 7. Can y'all believe that the finale is next week? Well, it's tomorrow, because, my ass is late all the time. But yeah, I'm gonna be sad that this is coming to an end. I really love this installment of the Homecoming series, and I hope, maybe Hawaii's next, or Seattle, or even return to New York, because, I want to see Coral. But anyway, episode 7 starts out with Julie talking to Danny about her husband being mad at her. She then later says her husband text messaged her, allegedly backpedaling and even giving her a hall pass. Now, conveniently, she says she got this text message while she was in the confessional. I don't believe this BS. Why would she need a hall pass for this experience? Who tried to smash Julie? Not Jamie. Jamie got a whole wife and kids. Not Tokyo. He's already isolated himself from your Karen energy. Who wants to smash Julie, and why does her husband feel like he needs to give her a hall pass? This is completely fabricated, and I haven't seen someone so desperate on television in a very long time. And I watch a lot of Housewives. By the look on Danny's face, he's just humoring her in this moment. Internally, he's laughing at her dumbass. If Julie's husband is not a part of this charade and Julie's just actually manipulating him, then she's most definitely a sociopath. Next scene, we see Kelly and Melissa chatting it up, and in their confessionals, they're saying that they've really bonded during this experience as opposed to the original season because they weren't close at all. Kelly alludes to us once again that she wants to leave every day, but having Melissa and Danny in the house gives her motivation to stay. I just really don't understand what is so tough about being in that space. I know Julie is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but it's just 2 weeks. 2 weeks in New Orleans. It's not 2 weeks in Afghanistan or Antarctica or something. I really want to hear Kelly's perspective after the show. This particular installment of Homecoming, it needs a reunion. Melissa and Kelly also say that they have a lot in common, from their love of skincare to both having 3 kids. Later on, we see Melissa talking to Tokyo, and the topic is his iconic song, "Come On Be My Baby Tonight." Look, this is the episode, y'all, so be prepared because y'all might be tired of me by the end of this video. She believes that his song was the best thing to come out of the show, which I agree because it's still iconic to this day. She also says it's the most iconic thing to come out of Real World, period. Now I'm I'll give it top 3. I can't think of, what my top 2 would be, but I wouldn't say it's the most iconic moment of Real World, period. I would really have to think about that. Tokyo is very humble about it, and now we take a trip back to memory lane by production. So the reason why I think this song was just so iconic was because we didn't really care for David on the show, but this song had just so much delusion attached to it because he was serious as hell. And David was eclectic in a pretentious manner. Definitely Tokyo did a full 180 to David, but in that time, it was just hilarious as hell because this song was ridiculous, yet catchy. And at the end of the day, I just think it had all the key variables to go viral. And it was one of the first things from reality TV to go viral. So I think he was also ahead of his time without even knowing it. And even though it started out as a joke, it's now a mainstay in pop culture regarding the real world. We also get a never-before-seen clip of the entire song of "Come On Be My Baby Tonight." He was rapping and everything. And another reason I love this song was because when David did this song at the news station, this is what finally made Kelly snap. And seeing a very uptight person like Kelly snap or get angry, it's very entertaining. I'm sorry. We then see the cast in the confessional looking back on the song, and they all appreciate it now, whereas on the original one, they all rejected it. So next scene, we're with Julie again, and she's in her WandaVision reality she created about her husband being jealous of Jamie and giving her a hall pass now. She's on speakerphone with him right now, and she actually gets him to admit that he's jealous of Jamie. And the only reason her husband is jealous of Jamie is because of what Julie has been telling him. Like, Jamie has no idea what Julie is saying to her husband right now. Like, I'm really just curious what Jamie is thinking looking back at all this. So then a plot twist that she just created for herself. She tells her husband that, I'm gonna give you a hall pass because I know you're not gonna use it. What? And then we see her in her confessional saying, oh my God, I can't be friends with Jamie. Julie needs to be locked in a room with padded walls. Next scene, we see the house gets an incoming message, and this time it's highlighting Kelly. In the video, it highlights how private Kelly was in the original season, as well as just not being present, like mentally as well as physically in the house. She was always very reserved to me, so it was really easy to overlook her on the show, but I just always remember her being sweet. We also see a scene of her and Melissa going back and forth, and it was just about their relationship and how they're not cool with each other in the house. And it's just so ironic, you know, now that they really get along, like her, Danny, and Kelly, they're the three musketeers in the house. Kelly essentially tells the cast that back then she had a problem with being vulnerable, and she felt that she didn't really click with the girls. So her having a relationship outside of the house, which I remember, because once she got into that relationship, she was never in the house. She says she's so used to being in control in given situations, and that's why she was caught up in that relationship she was in so bad. And honestly, I think she's come a long way and she's gotten better, but you still see hints of that present day on this show. And especially by the end of the episode. She even says that the poise that she has, and frankly what she's known for, is her protection. And we even see it on the show because, like I said in my last video, she's very just like, she's just very controlled, poised, and just doesn't like to be vulnerable. And that's fine, but sometimes it just doesn't read well on a reality show because people love vulnerability and authenticity. So next scene is later in the evening, and Tokyo tells the house that he got some studio time for them all to record Come On Be My Baby Tonight together. During the car ride to the studio, we find out that he hasn't sung this song since the Dave Chappelle show 20 years ago. We then cut to Melissa in her confessional saying how iconic that song was because it started a trend in reality TV where, you know, you can have a hit song. And I agree with that. She even brings up Countess Luann and Kim Zolciak, like with Tardy for the Party and Money Can't Buy You Class. I'm just excited that Melissa is a Housewives fan. And hopefully Bravo calls her up for something, particularly the New York City reboot. It does seem like from Tokyo's perspective that the Dave Chappelle moment did more harm than good to him. Because according to Danny, his confessional, maybe he got the idea that people were laughing at him and not with him. I guess we all just handle fame differently. Honestly, if the money right, and I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not on a really big platform, but like as long as my bank account is right, like y'all can't tell me nothing. Like I'll cut my social media off and just enjoy a trip to Tahiti or something. And even though this song was taken as a joke at first, later down the line, it's become a welcome nostalgia, you know, for their season and definitely made it iconic. I would actually compare his song to Legs and Hips and Body. That song is ridiculous. I think Candy even knows that. But now, you know, it's so catchy and people are just having so much fun with it that I think we're laughing with Candy and not at her. But anyway, they arrive at the studio, David gets behind the piano, and it's like it happened yesterday. Like, he is going off on the piano, like he's setting a vibe. The rest of the cast, they're standing behind him with mics, providing background vocals, and now it starts. It's just like you hear the keys tingling, you get the sweet dabble-dee, dabble-dee. Come on, be my baby tonight. Jamie is getting into it with his hat. Come on, be my baby tonight. I see you in the club with other thugs you've been with. Come on, be my baby tonight. Come on, be my baby tonight. Sweet double-dee, double-dee. Like, seriously, Tokyo, like, where is it on iTunes? I want to buy it. Like, that would have been the perfect moment. Like, why didn't they drop us the link or the QR code to scan to get the song? I see you in the club with other thugs you've been with. Come on, be my baby tonight. Oh, I know my neighbors are sick of me. Ugh, this was so good. This was so cute. And it looks like, David reclaimed his song, I think, finally. And I think it was lethargic for him. I also think this was a nice, genuine moment for the cast. No drama. Like, they all came together for this ridiculous, catchy song that we remember 20 years ago. This show deserves an Emmy. Like an Emmy nomination or something for Best Reality Show. So next scene, we're back with Julie again. Like, oh my God. Production, can't you see that she's producing herself? So now we see her being weird again. She's on the patio and she intentionally sits next to Jamie as he's like playing his virtual reality game. She asks Jamie, can she sit next to him while she calls her husband? He's like, oh yeah, fine. Soon as she gets on the phone with him, she's like, oh, I got those naked pictures you sent me. Like, clearly so Jamie can hear that. And I'm not sure if it was editing, but, I think Jamie heard that and was like, oh, I'm just gonna play over here. Like, she's so desperate for a fucking moment. Like, why would she do that in front of Jamie? Like, she keeps dangling this unsexy carrot in front of Jamie like he's gonna, like, bite or something. And he's not. Like, he's aware that you're being weird right now. I think he's just being polite about it. And speaking of desperate, it's the next day, I think. Like, they don't give us timestamps or anything or what day of the week it is. But we see Julie, I guess showing off her pics that she got from her husband to Jamie and Danny. So then we see Kelly walk in the door and she wants to give Kelly opinion. But instead of prefacing it with anything, she shoves her phone in Kelly's face asking her opinion on a thirst trap her husband sent to her. And of course, Kelly's like, oh my God, why are you showing that to me? Boundaries. I totally get Kelly's reaction like, girl, I don't know you like that. Why you want to show me your husband naked ass body? We saw what your husband looked like. I wouldn't want to see that. By the way Kelly is talking to her confessional, she was genuinely shocked. And Julia's thinking like, well, I don't know what her husband looks like, but it was just a shirtless picture. Well, Danny actually went to social media a couple hours, or I think a day after the show aired, and said that the picture that Julie showed of her husband was actually way more salacious than she made it out to be. He was near nude, and I completely understand Kelly's reaction. Julie and her goofy looking face apologized to Kelly, but later on, Kelly just disappears in the house. We see in her confessional, she's saying that she's happy for Julie's sexual revolution, but there needs to be boundaries, and I feel like I need to have a conversation with her. So she's definitely planning on having a one-on-one with her. So production wastes no time. It looks like Kelly gets her chance with Julie to talk to her one-on-one. So she sits her down, and you can tell by the look on Kelly's face that she does not like confrontation, and this is very tough for her. So basically she tells Julie she doesn't have a problem with her like being sexual or talking about sexual situations. Her problem is when Julie tries to bait her into these conversations. And I think we've seen it throughout the show, like, talking about like past situations with house guests when, they're all married right now, and just establishing boundaries on what she wants to talk about. I get what she's saying to a degree, because I'm thinking of Ramona Singer from Housewives on how she liked to police the conversation when the ladies were talking about, more salacious conversation. So on that end, and I'm not defending Julie, but she has a right to talk about what she wants to talk about, and Kelly has the right to leave the room when she's talking about it. I don't know. Like, y'all let me know what y'all think about that situation. So Julie hears this and then begins to twist Kelly's words, and you guessed it, created a narrative that basically Kelly is overreacting, she's being a prude, and is jealous of how free Julie is. Kelly just wants boundaries to be established, but they're not seeing eye to eye right now. So you have someone who is controlling their image versus someone who likes to control narratives. And that's like oil and water. Of course, they're not going to see eye to eye on that. And before y'all disagree with me, I love Kelly, but I do think like she wants to control her image for a show. And when you start to do that, it doesn't make for good TV. It doesn't, because we see that you're not being your authentic self. You're trying to control how the audience sees you instead of just being yourself. And maybe that's why she wants to leave the house so bad, because she's longing to just be herself in her own space. So they're going back and forth now. Kelly shuts down and decides to end the conversation and goes back into the house. Julie, like, we see her in her confessional calling Kelly her grandmother. So later on, or maybe the next day, the hell if I know, the entire house is headed to have brunch in the French Quarter. We're in the car with Danny, Melissa, Kelly, and Julie. They pass like a little neighborhood parade near their house, and most of them are excited, and I don't know, for some reason Kelly says that, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that at all. Now, I'm from New Orleans, and that just seemed like something fun that's going on in the neighborhood. So I was really confused by that moment. If anybody wants to, let me know what they think Kelly was going through, let me know in the comments. Maybe she was still pretty hot about not having anything resolved in her conversation with Julie. But on the way to the brunch spot, Kelly's just very grimace, and you can tell that something is going on with her. They arrive at the brunch spot, and I know exactly where that is. It's called Brennan's, and I passed that place all the time as I was roaming the French Quarter when I lived in New Orleans. I've never been there to eat. It's pretty bougie, and it's more so of a tourist spot than a local spot, if you know what I mean. So the brunch goes well. There's no drama, surprisingly. But afterward, you can still see that there's something clearly wrong with Kelly. They're back in the car now, and Kelly just looks like she's going through it mentally. Danny starts to notice, and she confirms to him that she's just stressed. We see in her confessional that she's alluding that she's just finally done, and that is where the episode ends. I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, Tokyo was the highlight, as well as his iconic song. We got Kelly, speaking up and having some confrontation, even though we know that she hates it. And then wacky ass Julie. I mean, the less Julie, the better, but production is just trying to force feed us this wacky ass woman. So the season finale is tomorrow. Hopefully I can get this out tonight. Today is Tuesday. I have a movie premiere I'm going to see. Well, I don't want to make it sound that glamorous, but I'm going to see an advanced screening of Jurassic Park, the new one. So afterward, I'm going to try to get this out on time. But anyway, yeah, the season finale is tomorrow, and it looks really good. And unfortunately, it looks like Kelly left early. Now, I'm just really disappointed because, you can't blame why you want to leave the house all on Julie. Maybe Julie was a factor, but like I said earlier, I think she's exhausted by how she's had to control her image the entire time while she's in that space. Maybe it's just a pressure cooker for her, but just compared to the reality TV that I've seen, like game shows and Housewives, this looks like a vacation compared to some of the reality TV I've seen. So yeah, I'm just really disappointed that Kelly couldn't stick it out. I'm not sure what day of that she left out of the 14-day experience. But yeah, y'all please let me know what y'all think about the Kelly versus Julie situation. I'm very curious. But with that, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all for the next episode. Bye.